Alright, we should be back. So, let me check Twitter. Just did all the plugs. Not gonna plug anything too hard this time. Yep, we're live. So, do I have? What I am going to plug is Lee Shock does the Trinity Force D&D groups. They're starting a few. Apocalypse World, D&D, Traveler, Interstellar, and Pathfinder. Those games are just starting, so if you want to join, or if you basically have questions or want any more information, check out the T-Force Reddit. I'll put a link in the chat once. I was gonna link stream once more. So, looks like this. If you are into tabletop, pretty good stuff. Also check out the T-Force Reddit. Looks like this. Putting another link in the chat. And check out the TeamSpeak. It's TS. I'll just show it on stream. It's ts.trinityforcepodcast.com. You put your nickname and you just connect. Pretty simple. But I would check out that stuff. And in general, like the central hub you want to be going to if you want any information on any of that kind of stuff is trinityforcenetwork.com. Community tab has Reddit, like I talked about, as TeamSpeak. Battle Arena tab has both the sign-up sheets, hyperlinks to YouTube, and where they're live on Twitch, so we can look at ourselves. Schedule when everything happens, and the Patreon. So this is 5v5 custom games. We can give you guys quite a bit of feedback, and if you just want to learn more about the game, these are really good to watch because you can learn as much about the game as you can in a lesson almost. You're just not getting that specified information. If you want information specifically for yourself and you want to receive coaching, we have Patreon tier rewards. We have the $25 tier is replay analysis, and this tier is coaching. So I would check it out, Patreon/T-Force Network. Putting a link to that in chat as well. And we have the Champion Select podcast. 73 people are on that. Really, really, really popular. They usually bring on a Masters level or Challenger level player and do an hour to an hour and a half on a champion and basically break down everything about the champion. If you really wanted in-depth analysis by like people who are playing this game at the highest level, that's something I'd look at. And like if somebody's Masters or Challenger, they're top, I think Masters is top 800 in this game out of like the whatever couple million that play in North America. I mean, that's like some high-end content that you're really not going to get. I don't know any YouTubers that are that good either. Masters Challenger level players. Really, really would check that out. I've listened to a couple of them and I think it's really enjoyable. They recently did one on Nunu. They've done Morgana and they've also done Aurelia. Oh. So, picks and bans. Talked about a little bit last game, but the Jinx one's a little interesting to me. I don't really understand that. Also, one thing I look for in Champion Select is first picking really scary stuff or picking into really scary stuff. The two things I don't like here. First picking Soraka. Soraka has some really bad, like if you went against Leona Varus, or even Leona Corki with Ignite, really scary lane. And first picking Garen. Garen bullies some lanes really hard, but he doesn't beat some lanes. And if Garen doesn't win lane, he's a really ineffective champion. So, first picking Garen's pretty bad here. Looks like we're going to see 2 Devourer jungles. Exciting. Yep, Nara's a bad lane for Garen. RIP. Garen's really iffy because his win condition is stomping lane and snowballing mid game. So if you get counterpicked, he is weak. I should tell people to play what they like and don't worry about counterpicks, but Garen's win condition is so specific and like his timing window is so narrow. If you don't win lane on Garen, he's not a good champion.
Would there be any champions you'd recommend picking in the top lane, then? If your first pick in your rotation and top laners and Garen's not necessarily the safest pickup, is there anybody in particular that you would recommend to practice?
Good question. Gnar is really strong. Rumble's good. He's iffy. Like, Rumble loses some lanes, but his mid-game pressure is so strong, I don't mind him as much. Who else? Looking at the champions. Renekton's okay to first pick. Gnar. Just stuff that's just, like, generally strong into most matchups. Renekton, Gnar. There's some that aren't the worst, too. Like, J4, you could first pick him because they would think it's going jungle.
Right.
Aurelia is pretty strong to first pick because she doesn't have any terrible lanes. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Malphite is good, too. Malphite has some really bad lanes. If some of you picks Vladimir into Malphite, you're going to regret ever playing League of Legends.
What about Maokai? Frown didn't mention Maokai.
Maokai's pretty good too. Yeah, I forgot Maokai.
Yeah. It's great because with...
And Riven. If you can play Riven, you can pick Riven into anything. Nobody here can play Riven though, so don't.
I like the Maokai option because even like if maybe you're struggling in lane as opposed to going around Aegis, you can go into Righteous Glory and just use Maokai's huge amount of CC and his ultimate for great team fights.
That's why I like Rumble too.
Yeah.
Alright, so we'll go down lanes. Gonna go top to bottom in this game and mix it up. We have Gnar versus Garen. So not only does Gnar have TP advantage, it's really difficult for Garen to ever trade with Gnar here. If he runs in to trade with Gnar, Gnar can just hop back. And Gnar is stronger in Mega Gnar too in melee range. I really don't see how Garen wins this lane. If he gets ganks or Gnar misplays, he can look to win lane, but he stay even on farm and stay relevant, I guess. But having Ignite is just really, really iffy for me. So the way Garen's passive works, he struggles in a lot of range lanes. He doesn't have a true gap closer, and if somebody can harass him from range and continuously proc his passive, he really struggles. And not only can Gnar pack his passive, I can't talk at all today, proc his passive from range, Gnar's relatively tanky and can build tanky and be effective so Garen can't one-shot him. Gnar has an escape if Garen wants to try and one-shot him. Like, this is such a bad lane for Garen. I hope this guy can actually play Gnar and he didn't just use a counter pick website though. But for Garen, your win condition is farming, you're not getting shafted too hard in lane, and becoming in a tank. Because your team has quite a bit of damage and you may be able to do something with Cyril later in the game. Mid lane, farm lane, Azir can try and outplay at 6, and Ziggs can try and win through harass, but it's a farm lane. I would say the win condition for both of them, this is something I've gone on a couple of my lessons. I drilled Frostbite pretty hard on this, and last night I got on Lee Shock's ass about this pretty hard. When you're playing a ranged champion, really don't want to eat harass when you're standing on caster minions. So if Azir and Ziggs are on top of casters and eating harass, you lose the lane pretty fast. Because not only can they push you in and put you into tower where you have a stifled aggression, you're getting harassed too. And in the mid lane, or you're playing against champions where they use mana as a resource, they can't 100-0 you with harass and push lane over and over again because they would just run out of mana. But by standing on caster creeps, you're effectively letting them do both of those things at once. So, jungle matchup, I think they're both going to farm in AFK. They both can get ganks pre-6. I think both of them should just be watching bot lane like this entire game. I think Gnar Garen's kind of a pointless lane to gank. And bot lane has a lot of CC. And Leona's going to be trying to kill Soraka. There's certain champions, if you see them in the game, you want to camp the lane. If you see Leona, you're probably camping bot. If you see Draven, you're probably camping bot. If you see Ashe, Alistar, you're probably camping that lane. But yeah, it goes for both teams. And then we saw that happen last game. 1 second while I pull overlay up.
I feel like Corki Leona, if they get an early level 2, that could be really dangerous
Mm-hmm.
for Civ or Soraka.
So this is really, really important. If you play against a Leona, you want to deny level 2 as hard as you can. Leona has like the best level 2 in the game, or one of the better level 2s in the games. So really, really important. Sivir wants to push the first wave as hard as she can. Soraka should be looking to auto-attack the creeps a bit to help her out here. The key thing I want to see is I want to see Leona hold 1 Targens proc. I see a lot of supports walk in the lane and initially use 2. The reason you do 1 is so you get the cooldown off. And if you use 1 or if you use 2 instantly, it doesn't matter because it's going to stack as quickly. You hold the second one, so for level 2, it's the first wave and then the next 2 creeps on the second wave, usually melee creeps. So you kill the first wave, you kill the first melee creep on second wave, and then you Targens proc the second one. And this lets you hit level 2 very fast. And it's almost a cheese because they don't expect you to kill it at half health sometimes. And it's really good. Like, if you're going for level 2 and you have Targens, you should be saving 1 Targens proc. I don't see that a lot either. People just use it for gold. And there is a lot of strategy to Targens if you think about it. You can do that with level 6 or level 2 or a lot of things. Like, Targens does give gold, but there's a lot more to it than gold. And sometimes you want to think about that. Really important for Soraka Sivir to pay attention to summoner spells though. Having summoner advantage or disadvantage against Leona lane is kind of make or break. Like if Leona has summoners on you, you really have to chill. Especially if you're playing a squishy support like Soraka or Sona. But good, Soraka has resistances. So she's a pretty standard page here. So this is an important note to make. I don't know if it's true or not this game, but generally if you see someone with 3 biscuits, that means they went a little bit more into the defensive tree with like a 0, 13, 17 or 14, 16 or something. So if you see someone with 3 biscuits, assume they have those defensive talents. She may not. She may have went into utility and just not got them. But I think she went into defensive slightly here. And lastly, Leona Corki. Pretty standard pages. I'm curious to how Ziggs gets 46 MR or 36 AP. Curious page. Azir is 50 AP. I hate this page. Flat AP blues are not that effective. They give you 10 AP immediately, or they give you like 8 or 9 because you're getting some from masteries. But scaling gives you 28 at 18. You can quickly do the math to figure out that like I think scaling are better at level 6 or level 7, which isn't very long. The breakpoint in most scaling runs is level 9. So I really don't like flat AP. And it's good. I see some junglers don't do this, who aren't doing this. It's important to smite immediately when you start the first camp. Or usually auto attack once and then smite. Doing this allows your next smite to be up sooner. It's not that important, but having your next smite up 3 seconds earlier can sometimes save you.
Doesn't the timer just start for the second charge though?
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Oops. That's like an old school thing with old smite, my bad.
Yeah. What do you think about the cloth armor start on Garen? Because I feel like Gnar, with his passive on his auto attacks, are going to chunk Garen's health a lot more than just like his autos and boomerangs.
I think Garen should have Doran Shield. Doran Shield is really strong against Gnar. The Doran Shield, for those of you who don't know what it does, it reduces single target damage. And champions that do a lot of single target damage, Garen's good.
Yep.
So Leon, you want to flash there and get damage before you ignite. Ignite should be the thing you do, like last. Just so you don't waste it. Or you could just ignite there and not waste flash, but you shouldn't have wasted both summoner spells. I guess Corki wasted one. Corki accidentally pressed TL.
I also too, I guess, question two after Garen up. Do you like the ward start on Soraka in this particular matchup? I feel like junglers aren't really going to be impacting lanes all that soon, and it just gives her less of an effective health pool for this lane.
Yeah, no, I don't see any reason to start Ward here. What's 99 LP edition? OPGG/horse doctor. That's 99 LP edition. So Garen's struggling, as to be expected. Yeah. I would just go full tank here. There are some damaged Garen builds. There's a guy I play against on Latin America who's pretty high, and I think he's, I don't know where he is in Masters, but he's somewhere in Masters. I think he's like 200 LP. But he goes Ghostblade Triforce a lot. And I don't think it's a bad build. I've seen him do well with it. But if you're behind, you go tanky. Especially looking at your team here, you have Jungle, Jax, Azir, Sivir. You have 3 damage threats. You really don't need to be a damage threat as well if you're not doing well. Hopefully next week is Masters Edition Dream Prison / Prey. It's pretty rough. You shouldn't walk up to Leona. Really good distinction I want to make there. That Frown Power didn't get chunked too hard here. So when somebody trades with you like that, and I talked about this on the 4 wards I did, episode 19, if anybody wants to go listen to the Sivir breakdown. You need to know what the most important spell to spell shield is in a trade. So the most important spell for her to spell shield there is either Leona Stun or Corky Q. She didn't spell shield Leona Stun, so spell shield and Corky Q allowed her to stay really high on health. But it's good that she didn't just mash it and eat a spell she shouldn't. TLDR. Brown's actually playing this lane pretty well. The important note is that the Corgi's just missing a lot of CS. By 5 minutes, you should have 38 CS if you CS perfectly. By 6, let's see, between 5 and 6 they're not canon. So by 6 you should have 50. So the Corgi's hitting like 60% of his CS, which isn't very effective. Same thing with last game in the top lane matchup. If you're winning lane, you should really be pushing for a CS lead a little harder than that. I sound so professional knowing these CS breakpoints. Right.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Ziggs.
I'd like to see Leona pop one of her relic shield. Been kind of sitting on that for a while, and that's just a delay on gold income. Also, I wouldn't necessarily recommend standing in one spot. Soraka kind of knows where you've been standing, and she's been using that to her advantage and healing up rather well.
Oh, lane gank! Wow, that's so good. All right. So really good and really bad. So the lane gank is really good. This isn't warded. Pretty obvious it wasn't warded from how they played it, so on and so forth. The not good part is Soraka really needed to not be bait there. Like, Jax is already going to get that gank and you killed yourself. Wow, Garen killed 9. So, important note. Garen can come back in lanes really hard when he hits 6. He actually has a lot of burst for like a bruiser tank. But it looks like Nar just got wrecked by Garen with level 6. So really expect Garen 6, especially until you've recalled and gotten those tanky items. See Nar going towards Blade. Blade of the Ruined King is an item I should never see built on Nar. I've played a lot of solo queue games with Nar, and I've seen a lot of professional games with Nar, and I've literally never seen Blade of the Ruined King. The only 2 offensive items Nar builds are Bows and Mallet and Black Cleaver. The reasoning behind it is Nar's base stats are really high. You want something that gives you some sort of utility and health, or utility and tankiness as well as damage. You don't need to build pure damage items on Nar. The only instance it would be okay, and I've never seen it, but I'm trying to rationalize it so it's not as bad a choice for you here, is if you're going to split push a ton. But even then, I don't know, I still don't like it. I like Frozen Mallet better for split pushing. Whoa, the Nargan. So really good run there from top. Garen, you see the question marks coming out now? Top lane. Really need to be pinging that way earlier. Interesting gank for him to go down there with Mininar though, but a great job by Ziggs baiting it out. Really, if you want to bait out fights in mid lane, stand off wave, like I was talking about not standing on casters, and just like bait them into hitting you skill shots. And if you're confident enough that you can dodge one or two, you can bait out a fight really hard. But Jax is doing a good job making it down to Leona lane again. A little pushed though.
I would have liked to see a Sightstone on Soraka as opposed to upgraded coin. With boots, it's just gonna delay a lot of vision, and that's something you're really gonna need here, especially with Yi at level 6.
Playing around lane and playing on summoners is important, and you're continually losing your summoners against Leona and having to like borderline AFK in lane. You don't have flash or health now, and that's really bad. But if Leona kills you, you're always buying health. Like if she can kill you with that health, like it's just gonna be easier next time.
Brown should be pressing R right about now.
Oh, decent Soraka ult. Good job by Jax understanding his limits. Hopefully he doesn't jump back in here. But is he a TP? Is he a Mega Nine? Nope. Alright, so either TP way earlier or get Mega Nine. I don't know why you TP late as many now.
Yeah.
You had a really big lead on Garen and you gave up some of it by getting cheesed with 6 and you giving up more of it with that teleport. Oh. Good job by Garen. He kind of stalled a little bit there, but he got the ping from his team that the blue team's on Dragon. He continued to push top. I would build Triforce over Black Cleaver. I don't like Triforce on Nara either. I think the only two offensive items I've seen on Nara in a long time are Black Cleaver and Frozen Mallet. I occasionally see Ghostblade too. But I wouldn't recommend Ghostblade for Nars and EA or BBC. Like, it's something you buy to snowball a game and end it in 30 minutes, which is really hard to do in low elo. Not the worst tower CS in the world. By 12 minutes, probably 120, 125 CS. So both mid laners are missing about half their CS. A little bit less, probably about 60% because you have to account for recalls or people dying. But if you play control mage, generally your weakest point is your mid game. Like, your lane phase isn't the worst, but that point when you're just sitting on an Athenes is really, really weak. I don't know if you've ever played Lux or Ziggs or something, but you don't feel that impactful. How you deal with that is just getting through mid game faster, and how you get through mid game faster is kills and or CS. And solo killing people in a control mage can prove to be difficult, so almost always CS. If you watch a professional game and you see people playing Ziggs or Karthus and stuff, like, their last hitting is out of control. Good job by Jax pressuring Master Yi a little bit there. Now really needs to be playing safe. He knows that Jax is just a Master Yi's jungle. Wow. That was a lot of damage. If I was Jax, I would have waited a little bit longer until my counter strike was up and pinged Garen a few more times. Zer's doing a pretty good job zoning Ziggs out of the CS, but it's also very hard to zone Ziggs out of CS. Jax had flash, no. That's not bad. He was hoping that Ziggs would step up a little bit, so that's not a terrible play for him to go for. This is a question I'm probably going to receive a lot in the coming weeks as Devour gets more popular. Corki, you keep wasting heal. I really hope Corki isn't using heal to sustain in lane. I've seen him use it twice when he didn't need to. Not really the purpose of heal. You shouldn't be using heal to sustain. But when you finish your Devour, you have two routes. You can either go for the Vamp portion, or you can go for the Recurve portion. I think going Recurve portion with health pots is better. I think the daggers and Recurve bow with the 10 AD on it now gives you a lot more threat. And you can just buy red pots to subjugate, like the lack of sustain. I don't know if subjugate was the right word there, but Ziggs, really want to max a skill, use 3 points in every skill. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. But I don't play a lot of Ziggs. Do you max bouncing bomb? I assume you do.
Yeah, bouncing bomb's normally your first max. It's your spammable ability. You want to do the most damage with that.
3-3-3. Interesting. This Fran, you really need to be able to tower CS that. Tower CS was really easy on Sivir. Her W is an auto reset. And W is a lot less mana than Q if I recall correctly. It's 40 less. But you're already low on mana. It's pretty important to not waste mana to tower CS. Not a big thing, but it's just kind of one of those lazy habits a lot of people have. No, same thing. You really don't need to tank out 100 health in this lane. Just learn to tower CS, guys. If you want to practice tower CS, 1, my last hidden guide. 2, go into a custom and play intermediate Siverbot. Intermediate Siverbot pushes like a motherfucker. And just don't hit her, and you'll get a lot of practice tower CSing. That's how I learned to tower CS when I was a new player. My brother made me play Siverbot all the time. I hate Siverbot. Wow. He's going so hard. Alright. Master, you don't go that hard on 2 people without help. Jax. Respect that Corki is Trinity Force, and he has so much burst on a Sheen proc. Even if he misses Q, his Sheen proc is enough to kill you there. Like, I don't really know what the point of that was. It's also like Jax went a little hard too, but he got bailed out by Soraka.
Yeah. I think if EA just waited for Leona to set up that play, I think that would have been a lot better, but I think Yi was just, Lee saw that they were out of place and just went really deep in the paint for that. And unfortunately, Corki and Leona weren't able to catch up to you. When you pop Highlander, you're the only one that's running that fast. And it's going to take some time for everyone to catch up. Like, Corki had a Valkyrie aggressively just to kind of match that, and that could put him in a really dangerous spot.
It's so white. It's hard in the paint, not deep in the paint. You don't know that song? Waka Flocka. Hard in the paint. Alright.
Look, if that's the worst criticism I get today, I'll take it.
You're so white. Alright. So, Diggs, are you still maxing all of your skills? Alright, so you're level 11 and you only have 10 points in your skills. Not really sure what's going on here. Oh no, you have 11. I can't math. Never mind. Still 3 points in every skills though. Dream Prison. There's one more game after this. Sign up. I'm not capped on friends. I have an excuse for not adding people, and I'm doing all these manually. Please use the sign up sheet. So Jax, do you really want to be maxing W when you play Jax in any lane? It's a lot of damage, and it's your auto reset, so having it up more often, having it do more damage is really important. I can kind of understand maxing Q for jungle ganks, but I would max W.
It's a dangerous gank. Well,
So Jax, I really don't like this for one reason. You need to, the same thing, I keep talking about using spells in an order, but you need to play around the order there, and that you just want it to go up and attack Gnar. And maybe start W towards the end when you think that he's going to die within the next 4 or 5 seconds, but just attack. And then, wow, that's GG. Alright, I want to see what this happens. So, maybe start your E towards the end, not W. When Gnar's going to die in the next 3 or 4 seconds, and then E him. But you don't want to lead with E, because then if they flash, they're free. Just save your skill for flash if you don't need to use it. So, the reason why this is bad, don't want to dive top lane like this if you don't have vision of the other jungler. I don't think they had vision of E. If they had vision of E, because they have some wards in this jungle, they might actually have had vision. That makes it even worse, because then they're diving when they know E's on that side of the map. So, Gnar. We talked about building Bork and why I don't like it on Gnar. Something else I forgot to mention is you need to check your team comp before you build damage items on usually tanky top laners. When you've sated Master Yi, Corki, and Ziggs, you really don't want to be building that Blade of the Ruined King. But generally, like, if you have a custom item set for Gnar, you should be taking Blade of the Ruined King off it. And Azir just solo killed Ziggs. I'm not sure how that happened. Since Ziggs didn't use summoners and Azir didn't flash for Azir sect, I'm going to assume that Ziggs just mispositioned. Oh. Good job pinging out Master Yi. That's good. Master Yi is on ultimate now. Both junglers are building towards the Blade of the Ruined King. I will say, don't be afraid to... Master Yi's probably never really somebody who can build wits. The Jax might be. Don't be afraid to get the... I honestly think that even though Blade of the Ruined King works with Sated Devour, because it gives you the on-hit twice, I would still rather have Trinity Force because of how strong Trinity Force is on Jax. And the fact that Trinity Force gives you some tanky stats and some mobility stats. You could go Trinity Force third here too, but I would have just gone Trinity Force second. And good point in chat. Jax starting Counter-Strike too early. Kind of pointing that out a lot this game, but it's pretty common. So I'm not going to be too hard on him. But it's certainly something he can work on. Don't look at skill maxes for anything that really stands out to me.
I'm really not liking Soraka going up to upgraded totem and then just foregoing a Sightstone.
Oh god, I hate this. Alright, so just buy Sightstone. One, Soraka doesn't have any health, and this Leona should be ulting her on cooldown. Rockets. Wow. Like, if this Leona had the peace of mind to check Soraka's items, she could just, like, have flashed on Soraka there and killed her. Soraka, you didn't exhaust Corki either. You just, like, exhausted Leona towards the end.
Yeah.
A lot you could have been doing there. I almost don't like that though. I think they should have just killed the Soraka. The Soraka dies in like one Corki spell. They got bailed out there because Soraka misplayed and never exhausted Corki, but if Soraka had exhausted Corki, that gives her time to get like 2 or 3 heals. Yeah, like this is so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, Soraka, you've got no durability whatsoever, no health. You've got a Talisman of Ascension, which doesn't really give you much in terms of combat stats. It gives you a lot of like passive regen, and a nice active that you've yet to use actually in this lane. Something else I'll point out is you got to use that Talisman active. Gives you a nice little burst of speed, and it's really useful for bailing people out of like really dangerous situations like that. And Sightstone's just invaluable. Like that totem trinket's all fine and dandy up to an extent. Unless the opponent's got a sweeper on hand, and Leona's got that upgraded red trinket. So if she sees you warding in certain areas, they're just going to sweep them out and completely deny your vision, which is really, really detrimental in terms of with Dragon coming up in 20 seconds, and the fact there's a Master Yi who's getting bigger by the minute.
So this game, I would have honestly looked for. What would you have got? I would have gone Aegis Soraka.
What's that?
As Soraka, Aegis Soraka.
Yeah.
So Master Yi, probably about half magic damage with the Devourer. No, not doing any magic damage, but Master Yi, Ziggs, and Leona are... I would say Master Yi and Corki are half magic damage, and Ziggs and Leona are mostly magic damage. So it's a strong item. I think Corki's like split down the middle half. This Corki's not though, he went with the Zerker. I like Zorks more than Corki. I wouldn't have gone this, but Zerks aren't that bad. If you're really fed, Zerks are okay too. Corki really needs to utilize his Sheen procs. I'm not seeing him auto attack after he uses spells enough. And that Azir ult interaction was interesting. Somebody in chat noticed it. I didn't want to point it out because I don't like pointing out bugs in games, but that was a bug. Like, Master Yi should have been able to Q that. Azir ulted too early. Yi should have outplayed with Q, but it didn't work like that. Maybe it wasn't a bug, maybe I'm wrong. But looks like Soraka's going Haunting Guys.
Yeah.
Not a strong item on Soraka. Soraka builds like health. I think the way Soraka works, like all the items you build for the most part, unless you go talisman or health items.
Yeah, build a lot of resistances and some health. Like AP is not something you really prioritize in a support Soraka build. It would just be so much easier for you to go lock it into Frozen Heart and just try and shut down as many of the threats as blue team has at this point.
So, something in chat, Azir's build path. Whoa, we'll talk about it after he dies. Oh no, he's gonna live. Nice. So Azir's build path, really don't want to go double CDR on any champion, ever. Like, I can't think of a scenario. If you can correct me, please try, but you're not going to be able to. Really, blue buff is 10%. So most people go like 6.67 in masteries with scaling. I mean in runes, then you can finish the 3 in masteries. So then you have 10% from runes and masteries, 10 from blue, and 20 from an item. That's okay. You can also go, whatchamacallit was I gonna say? We'll wait for this fight.
Yep.
Corki, you really want to use that heal, like, in smarter situations. Alright, so you really need to respect the Azir Tower. The Azir Tower is kind of ridiculous. I don't know how it made it into the game. It doesn't seem like a fair passive. No, the other way you can get 40% CDR is you can go CDR boots and masteries. The third way, this is the way most people are doing it right now, is you can go a CDR item, you can go full scaling CDR blues and masteries. You also hit 40. And the last way, people are doing this on Twisted Fate, and I think this is going to become a little more common with the AP thing, itemization, is you can go full CDR runes, CDR boots, and then blue buff, which will get you 40%. And then with masteries, you'll kind of be hovering low 30s all game, which is fine. The difference between 32 and 40 isn't that much. But all pretty viable strategies. The one not viable strategy is Athene's Nashers or Athene's Morelos.
So you would get with all the with that scaling CDR Lucidity Boots, you just go straight into big AP items.
Yeah, that's what TF does right now. He goes CDR boots, scaling CDR, and then he just buys like Lichbane first.
Okay.
Pretty good. TF has actually made a pretty big comeback with that build. I don't know how well it works on other champions though. I think it has a place since Riley's just got buffed and Athene's just got buffed. I mean, Seraph's just got buffed. Wow.
That was actually a really big Soraka ultimate.
Mm-hmm. So there's certain champions you need to play differently if they're in the game. I'm about to preach this again, but when you're playing Soraka, you need to respect Soraka at all times.
Yeah.
You guys won that fight really hard, and you single-handedly lost because you didn't respect Soraka ult. And not just Soraka ult, you need to respect Soraka heal. If you're chasing a low health target and you can't instantly finish them, and you're playing against Soraka, like, you need to respect the fact that they can just get constantly healed. Are these guys in curse? No, nobody who does Battle Arena is allowed to do use TeamSpeak.
Yep.
So that's one of the rules. No TeamSpeak, no curse, no Skype, no VoIP, voice over internet protocol for Bronze Bootcamp or Battle Arena. In the past, I've sat on one CDR thing and Phoenix Codex to get CDR capped on Zyra. I don't like it. I think it's kind of pointless. I don't see what you build the Phoenix Codex into either. Like, it's kind of cool because you're getting CDR capped, but is getting CDR capped worth, like, delaying your entire build by 820 gold? I don't think it is. And you really have to question when you sit on items. If you sit on an item, it's cool, like if you sit on Vamp Scepter's an AD carry, it's cool to sit on Vamp Scepter because of what Vamp Scepter does. But if you have to acknowledge the fact that you take the cost of that, and that's how much you're delaying your entire build by. So, if you buy Vamp Sec on an AD carry, you're getting your Static Shiver PD 800 gold later, you're getting your Last Whisper 800 gold later, you're getting your BT, well, you're not getting your BT 800 gold later, but really something you have to actually ask yourself if it's worth it when you're sitting on items. The Soraka went Rylai's. I actually kind of like Rylai's and Soraka, but not in this game. She really needs the... Probably Locket. If you're playing Ziggs, you almost always buy Locket. At least an Aegis item. Recognize the fact that you've devoured jungle, and devoured jungles probably aren't gonna buy Locket. I don't even think they should. So, if you're support and you devour a jungle, you're always gonna be the one building support items. Good job by Yi. Really important not to be too greedy with the buffs if you're playing a devour jungle. Recognize that the end game is still to kill their Nexus, and they give the buffs to the correct people, I guess. I don't like Azir dropping passive here, and I don't like E ulting for it. Wow. Alright, I just meditate. Alright. Master E meditated too late, and Corki healed the wrong person.
Yeah.
And Frown Power overextended in that fight. Jax, you should jump up again. Jax bought Elixir, that's interesting. Usually Azir, you want to use your passive to siege, or in like an all-out fight. Master Yi, I don't know why you suicided on it though. Like, I would have just chilled. And Yi, I don't like Ghostblade 4th item here. I think once you get 2 or 3 items, one of the nice things about Devour is you do so much damage, you can turn yourself into an extremely high damage bruiser. I don't really understand why you'd go like 5 item Devourer. But what I would like to see out of Yi as far as itemization here, I really like Thornmail here. It's good against Garen, it's good against Jax, it's good against Sivir, and it's okay against Azir. One of the reasons Thornmail is really good at Master Yi, and you'll see some really high elo Master Yi mains like Ryan Choi build it, is when you're in Meditate, you don't get a lot of effectiveness out of tanky items, but Thornmail does full damage when Meditate's up. So it's a really interesting interaction. Also, if you dive the backline on Master Yi, unless they're on top of their peel game, you can usually like 2v1 or like trade kills really effectively with Thornmail. So it's got a lot of use. I hate to recommend like one defensive item thrown there, but it's pretty good in Master Yi. Wow. That was really good. I don't know if he did it intentionally or not there, but Jax canceled his auto attack with W. And like Borg active. And you can see something so simple like auto attack canceling with your W and using Bork active. Just clean. It's not even mechanical play because it's just muscle memory. But like clean mechanics on a champion, I guess. I am saying it. A lot more damage and a lot more burst damage with the exact same build.
I also noticed too what started that whole off is Leona's choosing to try and go in all of the time. Got 2 health items, but she's lacking in the resistances department, and we're at a point where Azir, Jax, Garen, Sivir are all doing a fair amount of damage. I would almost wait to make sure that you've got team follow-up before you start committing into fights that hard. That way you have somebody to back you up when it goes awry. Because unfortunately, when you died, that gave them the 5v4 advantage, and Sivir and Soraka being able to pop their movement speed, things consecutively really got your team caught out there.
So Sivir, interesting that you finished the Lost Whisper this early. They didn't really itemize a lot of armor besides Gnar, so I don't really agree with it. You should be finishing your other items earlier. I think this is a game where I would have gone Lost Whisper 4th too. Okay. BT and Soraka synergize really well together. BT Janna, BT Soraka. They still have enough armor. Leona, be really careful when you're going for something like that. You guys don't really have any ward control. I guess you even had a ward on them sitting in that bush and you went for it. That's a really confusing play for me. Porky, I'm not sure why you bought QSS here. It works for Jax's stun, but Jax usually gets most of his damage out, and his stun doesn't really help with much of the team outside of Jax. Leona's still not using her relic charges. Yep, Cargen pointed that out earlier in the game, but certainly something we'll talk about afterwards. So I recognize you really wanted to kill Straka there, Leona. It's much more important to CC threats, though. You really should have stunned Azir. You may punish your team pretty hard for that. Or you may not. But I still would have stunned Azir there. So Jax is split pushing. Recently did an episode on split pushing in 4 awards, but we didn't talk about dealing with it much, so I will talk about dealing with it here. Really want to have the person with a teleport dealing with the split pusher, especially if the split pusher doesn't have teleport, so you can turn 5v4s. So don't know why Soraka and Sivir coming up to check for that. If Baron's already gone and you don't have smite, that's not something you go for. Especially like if you're the one who has the spell with big burst. Like if you're Lux and you're going to ult it, that's one thing. But if you're Soraka, I don't know why you step up there. You're not gonna steal it with Starfall. As a support, when do you take Mikhail's over Locket? When they don't have a ton of AoE CC and when they don't have I don't know. Like you take Mikhail's when there's really important spells to Mikhail's. So like if you're playing against a Twisted Fate, Mikhail's is really good. If you're playing against, I don't know, I'm trying to think champions that like de facto CCs. Fiddlesticks, Mikhail's is good. Rammus, Mikhail's is good. Really, really important spells to CC. Or
would you have got?
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, if you're Soraka in this case, would you have gone Mikhail's into Locket? Deal with both the powerful CC start that Gnar and Leona have.
I would go Locket first. Mikhail's doesn't give you any health, and she was really struggling to stay alive in lane.
Okay.
kind of lets you accomplish both things. Corky went Mercurial too. Even when you buy QSS, you don't mind Mercurial this early. He's gonna get punished pretty hard for not having Last Whisper. I kind of got on Frown's case for buying Last Whisper this early. But the other team didn't have a lot of armor at the time. I guess Master Yi's built listening because he built on map. But
yeah. Red
team has quite a bit more armor. The Garen's pretty tanky. The Jax is pretty tanky. Straka has Seekers. A little more important. So it's pretty even though. Blue team has 5 dragons.
Yep.
5 dragon buff lasts 2 minutes. I believe maybe 3. Just get both when you need extra QSS. I don't think he really needed a QSS here. It's just Jax time. And if Jax is getting to your 80 carry, you have more issues. Really good fight by blue team. So red team, you had a pick, that's awesome. But whoever engaged that probably needs to get checked. They have 5 dragons. And if the other team has 5 dragons, I would almost never fight it. Unless it's like the freest fight ever. Like, even if you get a pick, if they have 5 dragons, you can like lose a 4v5 pretty easily. You have to find like a pick that you can disengage or like turn into a second pick very quickly. Ziggs is going another CD item. This is really bad. He needs Void Staff or Death Cap so badly right now. When I was talking about delaying builds earlier, AP items don't scale multiplicatively as hard as AD items, but they still do scale. The 2 big items they scale with are Death Cap and Void Staff. And when you go double CDR, you're not delaying them 800 gold like a Vamp Scepter. You're delaying them like, I don't know, 2800 gold or 2480, whatever Morales is. Really, really not good. This Ziggs won't finish Void Staff and Death Cap until 50 something minutes now, which is...
Would you have recommended like Athenes into Death Cap?
I think Athenes into Ludens is okay. I think it's a little worse than it was because Ludens got nerfed a little bit, like twice. But Athenes into Death Cap or Athenes into Ludens. They're both good. Ludens if you need more wave clear, Death Cap's better for just doing more damage on ultimate. Oh, this game is so long. So blue team doesn't have dragon anymore. And kills are pretty close. So red team needs to know that like the only real advantage blue team has on them is dragons. If they want to go for a fight, it should be like now. That's good. Azir's dead. Jax is so fed. One thing Jax is doing in these fights really well in the mid game, and I haven't pointed it out, he's buying elixirs. And it's really important when you know you're going to be going for a fight soon to be buying those elixirs. So, really good job with getting those elixirs of wrath. Like when 5th dragon's going to be contested, or Baron's going to be contested, or you just finish 5th dragon or finish Baron, really good to contest, and they're really good to push leads with. I'm a big fan. Those Master Yi, you don't want to queue like that. I guess you traded a Sivir, but you should be thinking out spell interactions a little bit more. If you use Q, you can outplay like any skill in the game. So if Jax has E started, you want to Q towards the end of Jax E, so you don't get stunned. Good job by red team.
Yeah. And with Yi down for another 50 seconds, they could just go pick up this dragon. Unfortunately, that engage on Yi might have just cost them their next 5th dragon. Or Baron, for that matter. Red
team really want to be timing it so you can get that 5th dragon. That's blue team's win condition at this point. Recognize, too, like, a lot of times supports don't have a lot to do with win condition, but in this game, they do. Soraka is one of the best supports in the game if she stays alive and people aren't dying. In a very long fight, Soraka's probably the best support in the game. Maybe Janna. But they're both really strong. Nami, stuff like that, they're all good. In very short fights, Leona's very good. So, blue team really needs to engage as a team and be much more decisive in their engages. Soraka's one of the weakest supports in the game. If like an engage is very short, probably the weakest. Her CC is not good. So this year, same issue. He's pretty fed. He's 4-4-10, not super fed, but the double CDR, he's not gonna hit his void staff until I don't know 47 or 48 minutes, which isn't good. Power spikes are a lot more important than you think.
Thornmill and Leona, I'm not a huge fan of. I think there are better items you could probably pick up against their composition. I particularly like Frozen Heart.
Frozen Heart's really good here. Looking at the other team, Garen auto attacks, Jax auto attacks, Azir auto attacks, Saber auto attacks. Frozen Heart's amazing here.
Yeah.
So Jax is doing Devourer right. He has 3 damage items. I like 2 to 3 damage items, but 3 is fine. And then 2 tanky items. Like, this is how you play Devourer. He has a lot of resist. He has health. He's getting Elixir of Rune for more lifesteal. Like, he's an unstoppable killing machine. Where Master Yi's a killing machine, but he's a very stoppable killing machine. I don't like the Sunfire coming out of E either. Sunfire is like one of the worst items as far as effective tankiness is concerned. And it's also a terrible late game item. So I don't understand why that's coming out.
Yeah, and that means he's not itemizing any sort of MR in his build, and Azir does quite a bit of burst, and it could be really problematic if he gets caught out in that.
It's a really big misplay out of Found Power. It's a 4v4 on the map, and he's bot lane with Baron up.
Yeah.
Anytime Baron's in play, you can't show bot lane if you're an important member of your team. And as an AD carry, you're almost always an important member of your team.
Yeah, I would have recommended heading top for that push because Baron's the big objective on the map. I think the entirety of Red Team kind of pushing up mid, there was nothing to gain from there. And they fell back, but Frown probably should have gone top for that. Because they're giving up Baron here for blue team, giving him a chance to come back from this. Or Azir steals it.
Wow. I'll wait for this fight to end.
Yeah.
So, Masti really need to be there and ready to smite it. Minions pushing into... That's such a risky play to make, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Just be ready to smite. Understand how you're going to clip your damage on the smite. Understand if your damage skill is going to clip after smite or before smite. So like Master Yi, for example, you usually want to Q into smite. Q kind of has a delay, so if you go smite Q, there's like a 0.5 second delay between smite and Q. Whereas like you mass over your Q, as Master Yi had mass over my Q, and it would say, dealing, I don't know, 165, 179, and 175 extra to monsters. So roughly 500 to monsters. And then I'd mass over my smite, and I'd say my smite does 1,000. So at 1500 I want to Q into smite. And then I would say, alright, so I can estimate that my team is going to do a little bit of damage as well. So maybe 1800 or 1900 I'd go for the Q smite combo. But Baron was it. I honestly just wouldn't have gone for that play.
Yeah.
Infirm Slap. Yes, we actually do teach. If this is your first time here, all these games are supposed to be educational 5v5 in-houses. So, if you're Silver 5 and below, we'll have room in the third game. If you're Gold 1 and below, check out Battle Arena on Thursdays. Both top laners just overextending for no reason. Is this game 2? Yes, it is. We had an issue with sign up and it's going very long. Oh, both teams are playing with that auto vision here. That's something we actually haven't touched on much at all today. Wow. Alright, so getting into a choke point against Azir with that engage is not good. That was really rough. Leona could have held for like 5 seconds too until her solar flares up again too and punished him. So really play around your cooldowns a little more. If you don't have ultimate or flashes Leona. Or I guess she flashed, but I don't know, that's a difficult play. And see how strong this Jax is because he got Spirit Visage and Randomness. He can really take a lot of punishment and continue to harass. The one thing I'll say is he has Wrath and Blade. In these down periods and fights, he really needs to be looking to auto attack creeps and kind of sustain. His life's still so high. Straka's cancer. I've been seeing a lot more Straka in ranks too. Important note too, we have 2 of them on this team, but when you have a Straka, Spirit Visage recently got buffed. It increases all healing received. So if you get Spirit Visage and Straka, it's like, I don't know. I expected Straka to be like 100% pick ban on this patch. And I think she's getting to that point. I've seen Straka in a lot of my ranked games recently as well, Phil. She's really strong.
Yeah.
We're kind of seeing it this game too. She really misplayed lane and kind of is building some trolly items, but like, just pressing heal is good.
Yeah, I mean, build aside, those wishes are starting to really become just huge team fight swings.
Mm-hmm. So I like Garen's build a lot. I think he gets a lot of extra gold. He should sell Sunfire for Thornmail. Reason why you don't keep Sunfire late game is you don't have many magic pen on Garen, and if you look at the magic resist of everybody, it's mostly 60, 70, 70, 100. So most people are sitting at 40 to 50% magic resist, and Sunfire is magic damage, so your Sunfire is only going to be doing like 20 damage a second to people, which late game is nothing. Sunfire is very good early game, but it doing magic damage and the fact that people have a lot more magic resist and health late game makes it much less effective. He's really overextending quite a bit here too. Somebody needs to war over this wall pretty badly.
That was a really early wish.
Nasty. So you really need to respect Azir's passive in a poke situation. I think that'll be GG, but
yeah.
Jax, when you go Wrath, you really need to be auto-attacking creeps to heal more. Makes your heals better. I think there's a balance. I think you should get the support items that you need to buy. So if there's something that's really important to Mikhail's, you should be buying Mikhail's. I think if there's something, a lot of magic damage that's important to get Locket if your jungler can't get it. But once you get the support items you need to buy, I think you can buy some AP on Soraka and Janna and stuff. After the game, if this is your first time here, we usually go through, give each person a couple of things to work on, and about a minute or two into this, we usually start to sign up for the next game. So keep your eyes peeled, be checking the exclamation mark. Like I just got one. Rip, it expired. Alright. So usually first thing we look at is game. The timeline's hard because it doesn't show assists. So Vision Ward's purchase, pretty good. The game was 15 minutes, so I would like to see more out of people. Especially buying no Vision Wards as a jungler is pretty bad. But could be better, could be worse. No stealth wards purchased by 3 people here. Bot lane, that's pretty normal, but as a jungler, you really need to be buying stealth wards. Same for Garen. Not buying any stealth wards before level 9. Although you did overstay really hard, so you may have just bought Totem when you came back. But we touched on that. Don't want to be overstaying. Let's see. The other thing that stands out to me a lot is 26 on Straka for wards. You had a Sightstone. Oh no, you didn't. You bought Warding Totem. Alright, so this is the difference between you and Leona. You lost a lot of vision not going Sightstone and going Warding Totem. That's something I'd work on. And ward kills, pretty low across the board for a 50-minute game. I mean, 7's not bad, but I'd really like to see double digits. Really make sure you're smiting Raptors. It's really strong. And sweepers. Master Yi, there's no reason to be sitting on Warden Totem as a jungler. Really not a great item to sit on. But kind of good. I actually want to see damage done. Alright. So we'll touch on supports quickly. Which one do you want to start with?
I want to start with Leona. In lane, you did a lot in terms of pressure. I would have liked to have seen like in that level 2 the moment you guys get it, and it's something that I'll keep ragging on because it's so powerful. If you guys get early level 2, use that opportunity to just throw as much damage as you can because you have that extra spell advantage. And if you are able to force out summoners early on like that, it's huge. It's really impactful. I like the fact that you did get that Sightstone. You started warding out. I would have liked to have seen like a little bit more aggression, and when you're dealing with the Soraka lane in particular too, keep in mind that Soraka has a lot of healing, and then if she's landing a lot of her Qs, it's going to keep her alive in lane. So keep moving around and force Soraka to really try and predict where you're going and have her waste mana. But otherwise, mid game you were choosing a lot of questionable engages. I think you were going in and you were in full Leona mode where you just wanted a Zenith Blade stun the first squishy target you could find, and you got punished pretty hard for that because unfortunately you didn't have a team to back you up. So you really have to kind of communicate your engages and kind of gauge about how far your team is away from you to be able to follow up on that engage. And also, it's something to keep in mind too as Leona, like you gotta check and see what other sort of like engage assist that you have, and with Gnar there, I think between you and Gnar, if you guys were able to synergize your guys' engages together, you would have been able to pull off a lot better of an engage. So just kind of keep an eye on the map and figure out, if you go in, do you have anything to follow you up? I think in the mid game you had a bunch of health, but not a lot of resistances. I also would have gotten Thornmail as well. Thornmail on a support's not great. You definitely want to maximize like what you can do for your team with the items you buy. That's why Lock of the Iron Solari and Frozen Heart are always really good buys for supports because it's great auras and great tools to help in fights. The other thing I think of like right offhand was you didn't use. I don't think I saw that relic shield used quite enough. Yeah, you were sitting on max charges more often than you should have, and when you pop those charges, you're handing the gold over to the closest carry that you have. So don't be afraid to pop those and get that gold, because if you're not generating gold, you're going to get behind really fast, and that's going to delay your build. Like 15 to 20 seconds here and there adds up to a lot in the string of a long game like this.
Alright, so Corky. Whoa, sorry, I have something stuck in my throat. Let me get a drink really quick.
Sure.
Somebody in chat, I'm actually gonna answer this question first. Tips for sweepers, please. That cooldown ticks me off. One, spectating your games a little bit and learning. If you learn how to ward, you'll learn where people should be warding, and you can catch them a little bit more. Really pay attention to wards on the map, start timing them, and improve your game sense on wards maybe. But the biggest thing for watching sweepers is hit tab a lot. And, it only shows people in your friends list. So when you hit tab, you'll see wards in their inventory. And let's say you're hitting tab consistently, you'll see wards disappear from the inventory. As long as your map awareness is good and you think about where they were when that ward went missing, you can kind of deduce or do the detective work of where you'll be sweeping. But in my personal lessons and stuff like that, I really emphasize like you need to be hitting tab a lot, and just it's like, I don't know, it's like a free cheat sheet you have throughout the entire game. When it's warding totem, you just think about common ward spots. Oftentimes you can see people ward, and the better you ward, the better you can see other people ward too. So just a lot of effective ways to work on it. But hitting tab's probably the biggest one, especially in laning phase. I buy sweeper like 80 or 90% of my games because I really like to pressure the map. But we'll start with Corky. What could Corky have done better? I would say the item buy was really questionable for me. I'm not sure what you're QSSing besides Jack's stun. And you can you should be able to Valkyrie Jax's jump, and Jax shouldn't ever be on to stun you because they both kind of have a cast time. The only way Jax can stop Valkyrie is Flash W, and you should just be saving Valkyrie for Jax because nobody else on this team can really dive you. Garen kind of can, but he doesn't really have gap closer. So, questionable item pass. I like Sorks more than Corki, but Zerks aren't bad enough. I'm going to stress it. But, the heal. You are healing for sustain. You really want to save heal for a fight where you may need it. I think that and the item path were the two biggest things that stood out to me. And Sheen proc. You really need to understand the Trinity Force procs every, I believe it's 1.5. Yep. So it's every 1.5 seconds. So sometimes you can do spell auto or spell auto because you'll still have the proc and it waits 1.5. But you want to make sure that at least every 1.5 seconds you're being cognizant of the fact that you're Sheen procking. If you really want a good example of this, watch a professional game and watch a Corki or a Kog'Maw play with Trinity Force because they're really good about this. We touched on Leona. We'll go on Master Yi. Really would have liked to see. I guess you sold your second Avarice. I don't know why you ever bought that. I think he just went really, really YOLO on carries. If you're gonna do that, wait for cooldowns to be up. But you can just auto attack people in the back of the fight and then go ham on carries. But you really should be going in with Leona or Gnar if you're gonna do that. We'll touch on Gnar, but I would have liked to see quite a bit changed out of Gnar. But patience and being YOLO on carries and using your Q reactively. Don't use Q to gap close that often. Like if you're using it on Saber to gap close, that's fine. But your Q is something used to outplay spells. It's really good for outplaying. So like if Jax has Counter Strike, you can Q towards the end of Counter Strike and you won't get stunned. Or just stuff like that. Or if Azir has a Sand Soldier, you don't jump to him before he uses his jump. You can Q while he's jumping and then you teleport to him after the jump. And it's just like, just think about those reactive interactions with Q. Gnar, you really need to, be roaming and teleporting with Mega Gnar. 2, item build, I don't think Bork is a good item on Gnar. I would look at Black Cleaver or Frozen Mallet if you want to split push. Frozen Mallet's a little better for split pushing. But Black Cleaver is really strong too. 3, late game, I didn't see you get off any Mega Gnar ults. Really, you just get into Mega Gnar before a team fight, especially when your team has 5 dragons. It's pretty easy because you're showing up the dragon over and over again. Flash and Mega Gnar ult them, so you should be looking to do that. Coordinate with Leona, it's hard to coordinate in solo queue, but if you ping them like 5 times, it can be useful. But I think if Leona, Yi, and Gnar had dove together at the Ziggs ult, this would have been a very different game. Ziggs, same thing as Azir, don't go double CDR. I talked about all the CDR options in game, but if you really want 40% CDR, the best one is probably CDR per level blues. Last hitting, you and Azir had 60% CS at one point, which is really, really bad for control mages. And you got to a 52-minute game without death cap because of it, so that's not good. I mean, it's really, really rough. But also, be buying blue pots. When you have 5 dragons, you really need to buy blue pot. You should be trying to end the game. Losing the game with 5 dragons is pretty standout for me. And everybody on blue team really need to be utilizing that 5th dragon. You had 5th dragon and a fed mid-game Corki. Just, I don't know, like buy elixirs and go hard with the dragon buff. Soraka, Cargens touched on a lot. I don't think there's anything I saw that he didn't see. So we'll go to Garen. Did a really good job of getting a kill early in lane, and you turn into a really effective tank for your team. I like the item build.
Yep.
I would have liked to see Elixir of Iron late game at times. Wow, it's really windy. It just closed my door. But generally played well. I think there's some times where you dove a little bit too hard, but I would honestly take teleport and really be careful first picking Garen. I hate to use champion select as a cop out here, but first picking Garen's pretty bad. Azir, don't go double CDR. Same thing as Ziggs. work on CS thing. Yeah, I mean, you and Zig's really the same issues. You were just on the winning team and played a little bit better. But I would get Scrying Orbs easier in games like this too, where your team isn't effectively warding. Because there were times in team fights where you were just playing like in and out of bushes. You could have been soldiering and stuff, but like you didn't have vision of them. Sometimes on control mages, like double scrying isn't the worst. If your support's doing a really bad job with warding out in team fights and you're at 6 items. Jax, I really like the item builds. I really like how you played in general. There are a few times like bot lane when you went in on Corki and you got one shot that you misplayed and you got punished for it. But I think you recognized. I think everything you did was generally well, and I think you bought Elixirs of Wrath early, and you played a good game. Smiting Raptors, I guess, is the big thing. Really didn't see a lot of wards cleared this game, and I didn't see a lot of wards cleared last game. So that's something you can certainly improve on. Master Yi too, I forgot to mention this, with the Baron. Really want to be careful with getting outsmited. You can go back to after you got outsmited in the vid, and I'll talk about generally how you want to be approaching smite as a jungler on an objective. Ground power, I don't understand why you got Last Whisper so early this game. They only had one armor item. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Shiv would have been really useful too for the wave clear. And BT earlier than Last Whisper is not bad if they don't have armor items because of the BT synergy of Soraka. But ulting earlier and lasting under tower are the biggest things. Like, you didn't lose lane that hard. One of the reasons Corki started to gap you is you guys are both missing a lot of CS, but if you would just like hit that CS, you would have hit item break points earlier and done a little better. But you did a good job using several and not dying too much. And sometimes if you're not having the best game on server, that's what you have to do. So, good job. I would like to see Elixir of Wrath towards the end though. So, we'll be looking at starting next game. Usually, yep. Alright. Wow, this is nice. Arrows and plat promos.
Oh.
Carries the self-aggressors. Alright, so if anybody wants an invite to this game and you haven't played in the previous game, let me know. From Slap or anybody else. You have to be silver 5 and below. Got a question in chat too for people playing in multiple games. Once we try and get people who haven't played at all into games. So if you haven't played any games at all, we'll always make sure that you're the first to get invited to the next game. But as soon as we get all the first time people in here, we invite people who've played multiple times. So that's kind of how priority works. But if you want to play in another game, I would look for that. Reinstalling to get rid of bug, end of game bug. Alright, no problem. Team Lord Odin. Is this someone who's about to leave lobby? Oh, we also do, Battle Arena for Gold 1 and below. Like, this isn't only new players. And I coach a lot of people in Platinum and Low Diamond and Mid Diamond and Bronze, Gold, Silver. Like, this isn't something just for new players or players of any specific elo. Like, not to sound arrogant, but like, I think this is useful for people of all elos, and I feel comfortable helping and coaching people of any elo. Even when I look at my games, like at 2600 MMR, there's so many mistakes I could easily coach anybody in it. So, like, this isn't just for lower elo players. Wasn't concerned about the wave clear because I was playing Silver. So let's get. Ooh, Demon Lord and Odin messaged me. Click, calm, 20s. Oh, it's Lancer, bro.
Yeah.
How much do you charge for coaching? I do coaching through 2 avenues. I do it through, if you want to support Trinity Force, you can check out the Patreon here and the 25, and $50 tier rewards involve replay analysis and coaching. If you want more coaching or private coaching, I do it through tinyurl/horsecoach. It's this. But the price is a little more than I'd like to put it, but I have to take a pretty significant pay cut to do league coaching instead of personal training or chess coaching, which are like $30 to $40 an hour. So I think that's reasonable. You want to hop down so Wendy's can join? Or invite Jay Wendy's and then hop down?
Yeah. I was wondering who the last man's going to be.
Bubishi may want to play again. Alright, so you can invite Bubishi or Jay Wendy's.
Okay.
Dog. Hey Jax, you want to chill out? Okay. Alright, I'll be right back. Here, I'm gonna invite Wendy. Let's see how fast he is. Actually, let's make it fair. Get Bubishi in here. Alright, I'll give him an equal chance. Alright, Bubishi wins. Rip.
Alright.
Alright, so rules. Once again, see quite a few new people here. No team speak. No bad manners. If you see somebody being bad mannered, report it to feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com with the screenshot and have fun. And feel free to start the game. Alright, so stream will be back in 15 or 20 seconds, and we'll